Welcome to Fintech CTO Talks, the podcast that goes behind the scenes with tech leaders, solving the challenges and rewriting the rules of finance. Money moves fast. Does Fintech keep up? Let's find out. I am Ami, and in each episode, I sit down with CTOs, engineers, and innovators who are making finance faster, smoother, and quicker, and definitely connected. Today, we'll explore the platforms, the code, the bold ideas that shape the future of financial technology, and yes, making it a little fun towards the way. Today, we have a very interesting guest with us, Mr. Praveen Gade, a technologist with over 20 years of experience in building products and platforms. Praveen brings a rare blend of discipline, strategic thinking, and empathy to the world of digital transformation. He has enabled large organizations to harness technology and solve complex challenges across industries such as financial services, retail, and communication. He also leads innovation in fintech, supply chain, agri-tech with deep expertise spanning enterprise blockchain, IoT, data analytics, and user experience. His seamless work bridges the physical and digital worlds, from creating scalable solutions in the ecosystem to pioneering solutions in sustainability, augmented reality, and renewable energy technology. We welcome you, Praveen, to the podcast.
Thank you, Ami, for having me. It's a pleasure talking to you today.
Absolutely. We are looking forward, to discussing with you about like how fintech and where fintech meets agri-tech and how is it empowering the rural economies. So, I'll begin with a basic question. Like, when we talk and when we think about intersection between fintech and agri-tech, what's the most powerful change you see which is happening in today's rural economies?
So, uh, Ami, thanks for asking that question. So, I would say the most important change that is happening uh, primarily is in the area of behaviors.
Okay.
Okay. Because of how these technologies are bringing the rural fold into the length and breadth of finance. Okay, so historically, why the access has been low, right? So that's one question. Due to less awareness, due to less education of what finance means, right? So there has been very what you call the unorganized sector lending, financing happening. It's still happening. More than 70-80% is unorganized sector today. But what fintech really brings is it's not only bringing the rural to the banks, to the lenders, it's also bringing the lenders closer to the ruler, right? So they are
Okay.
understanding what finance means. They're understanding what responsible borrowing means,
Okay.
right? So with the intervention of RBI and the likes of other regulators, a lot of awareness is being developed, saying that okay, if you are wanting to get credit, you have to manage your history well. You should not be defaulting. You should not be. You should rather be filing your ITRs. You should rather be creating a very clean banking history. So all of these things, it's if you ask a small farmer, a medium farmer, large farmer today, that discipline is slowly developing. I will
Okay.
say it's developing. The understanding is so today you ask, oh, well, there is loan waivers. Why don't you just take a big loan? They're still going to say, you know what? Yes, I will do that, but I'm not that stupid. So I will rather take a loan and repay it rather than completely destroying my history. So those conversations are ticking in, and I will say that behavior change is the biggest change.
Okay. So when we talk about access to finance has always been a challenge for farmers. So how can digital financial platforms, there are multiple, and embedded finance when we are talking about the models, how can that bridge the gap immediately or sustainably, and how is it happening?
So anything with the agri ecosystem today, use of technology, use of finance, use of different types of agronomy related advisories. So the biggest thing is the reach.
Hmm.
So in a country like India, where there are varied geographies, varied behaviors, varied cultures, right? So the reach itself is, I would say, quite huge.
Hmm.
So now you ask me how fintech can be used in the agri space.
Hmm.
I think it's not just building tech, it's not just building the product, it's not just UX or UI. It's more to do with the strategies around how you build distribution. So, like
Okay.
any other product that you want to take to these rural economies,
Hmm.
distribution is the biggest challenge. And for distribution, the strategies that companies are adopting are they have taken a leaf from the microfinance space, they have taken a leaf from the cooperative space. Right. So, how companies are developing those joint liability groups, how companies are building that SHGs, right? So, self-help groups. So, the models that they are using in those spaces are working better than
Okay.
simply doing marketing, simply doing
Hmm.
outreach, because the trust factor is the most important thing in these rural economies. And
Correct.
build trust, only some level of collectivization, some level of grouping together people is always helping. So companies who are adopting strategies which are creating those clusters of people together and then creating a set of hierarchies, those are able to distribute better than any others.
Okay. So when you were talking about the UX, UI, is rural India mobile first, or has it been like, in the past few years? And, how can UX and user-centric design make fintech tools more approachable, more intuitive to the farmers or the rural entrepreneurs?
So again, this is a very subjective question, Ami. So it depends on where you are asking, whom you are asking. Okay.
Okay.
So it could be in a certain state, there is a lot of mobile penetration, smartphone penetration. In some others, it may not be the case.
Hmm.
So I have seen varied answers to this question, but on the ground, what I can say is maybe smartphone adoption wise, um, from maybe in the last 5 years, we moved between 30 to maybe 55%, something like that.
Okay.
So there are even still a lot of, again, it's also age, the
Hmm.
demographics, right?
Hmm.
So because of the short stories, because of the reels and all, the
Yes.
penetration has improved quite a bit, I would say. Um, and most importantly, the communication channels have evolved, right? So I'll say yes, we are moving into a mobile first, smartphone first direction, but we are yet to be. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And these days, like, people are talking about blockchain, supply chain. So, like, and it is generally talked together, according to my understanding. I could be wrong. So, could you share how blockchain is reshaping the trust, the traceability, the payments across the agricultural chains?
Yeah. Now, I've been a very keen follower and adopter of enterprise blockchain for the last, I would say, maybe 7, 8 years. What I can tell you is the potential is huge, but in the end, it's a social technology.
Hmm.
It's not a single enterprise technology. Okay. So when enterprises say, okay, I have a blockchain solution for me, that itself tell me that it's not the right solution.
Okay.
So when a group, a conglomerate of enterprises are coming together and then they are saying, oh, we are building a blockchain based traceability solution. Because, like I said, it's a distributed ledger, it's a social technology. Everybody participates, everybody benefits. So
Correct.
when there are that kind of solutions in place, that's when blockchain is successful. The sad part is in last 10 years, so apart from the crypto, apart from those gaming NFTs and all that area, where a large chunk of money has gone in, investments have gone in, a lot of scams have happened, everything has happened.
Yes.
In the social impact space, it has been very limited. We can quote here and there projects from the GNF, from Niti Aayog. They called it India chain. They called it. So a lot of private companies did work. I did some work in Samunati. We called it inclusive growth chain. From lending standpoint, a lot of companies are coming, but none of them are coming together as a conglomerate, as a consortium, and trying to provide solutions. Maybe they want to use the public chains. They are not.
Hmm.
Mostly they are saying this is my blockchain. Well, your blockchain itself is a very flawed statement. It's not
Hmm.
anybody.
Correct.
Blockchain is not anybody's blockchain.
Hmm.
So the moment you look at it as a distributed autonomous organization, that is when blockchain is successful. Sadly,
Hmm.
till now that has not. So I'll say yes, for quoting some examples, you might have here and there some this thing,
Hmm.
but hardly it has helped the farmer.
Okay. Okay. So, like, with such a vast experience into the digital space, like, what are the biggest barriers? Like, which were the biggest barriers back then, and what do you see, which are the barriers right now into integrating the agri-tech solutions into the financial ecosystem?
It's a broader question, a very vast question, I would say. So, see, we are seeing a lot of agri-tech companies, a lot of technology solutions being developed. The underlying fact is one thing is the reach.
Hmm.
It's quite huge. The length and breadth and the depth of Indian agri ecosystem is vast, and it's rural, right? So you that last mile, last 10 miles, last maybe we are reaching the last 50 miles today. But the last 10 miles, last mile is still the biggest question.
Okay.
Okay, so that is one thing. The other thing is fancy solutions are coming out. Nobody's listening to what are the problems of the farmers,
Oh, okay.
right? So today you see last 2 months, October, November, who was expecting rains,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
So who
Correct.
was expecting rains? So all the seasons produce is now at risk.
Hmm. Hmm.
The other big risk, big thing that I personally believe is now all these solutions are primarily trying to monetize, trying to commercialize these ecosystem. But essentially, unless the ecosystem is going closer to the farmer and distributing the risk of the farmer, because even today, 2025, the entire risk of agriculture is with the farmer.
Hmm.
Okay, here and there you'll see companies saying we are doing hydroponics, we are doing aquaponics,
Yes.
we're doing this farming where greenhouse farming,
Hmm.
putting all those tents and all. But those are sporadic. Now, India's biggest challenge is also the small holding, right? So, how the small, to an extent, forming FPOs, forming collectives, forming cooperatives is helping. But again, that's again a very big social change, right? So
Hmm.
now
Hmm.
all of these farmers, 400, 500 farmers coming together, trusting their own leaders, creating a system, creating a process, that's taking a lot of time. FPOs, FPCs are very, very high on the conversation, but really, are they bringing out change? Yes, the answer is yes. But to what extent? Maybe 10%, maybe 15% today, but it will get there. So collectivization is one another big solution there. So these all things exist. For me, uh, risk is still with the farmer. At a
Okay.
large scale, 99.9999% of the farmers today are still owning the complete risk of the agriculture. It could be climate risk, it could be demand risk, market risk, price risk. All of that is with the farmers. None of that is being taken by the uh, value chain folks as yet,
Okay.
in spite of technology. So when we have that social contract rewritten, when these players are going closer to the farmer and telling, okay, boss, I'll take some of this your risk. I
Hmm.
think that is when the actual results will start taking.
So when you're talking about the produce and the 90% risk with the farmers, these days, like AI is being integrated into everything, left, right, and center. So like, can that predict crop yields, assess the credit risk, or design more intuitive, inclusive agri-finance products? Is that happening, or is it going to be beneficial to the farmers, or how is that space?
So thankfully, again, we have this priority sector lending, and within that we have a chunk written out for the farming sector. Uh, so at least the banks are coming forward to understand, okay, am I lending the money to,
Hmm.
whether the utilization is happening well, right? When they take the money, are they buying a scooter or are they buying fertilizers, right? So are they sowing the seed? Are the saplings coming out? So AI is being used in that kind of monitoring aspects. There are companies doing satellite-based analytics and providing the banks the utilization reports, providing the bank score on the farm, Kate score, they call it Kate score, somewhere it's called farm score and all. So along with the borrower, they are also creating a profile of the asset, and they are looking at the utilization of the asset. So yes, that's one area. The other area is again identifying the what pest has invested, what kind of disease the plant has really been infested with. Some level of knowledge in terms of what fertilizers, what pesticides should be used to the what extent, to at what intervals. I still feel it's a great science, and that science lies with the farmer, even though everybody else claims that, okay, we are providing this to the farmer. So the biggest scientist is the farmer for me.
Correct.
But yes, it helps perpetuate that knowledge between them. So, so that's the other area.
Okay. So when you're talking about this, like there is some space of infrastructure also, including into everything because land is involved into the agriculture thing. So what are few of the or some of the practical steps organizations can take to make digital and financial connectivity more robust in remote areas, specifically into villages or where it is not reaching?
Okay, that question has two aspects. One thing is the digitization, the other
Hmm.
part is the overall technology.
Correct.
Okay, digitization helps with calculating the supply. Okay, how many farmers within my FPO of 1,000 farmers are producing chana versus paddy,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So in this season, how much paddy can I expect? If I'm doing a collection center,
Hmm.
how much paddy can I expect? So digitization of the farm, the farmer, the farm, and the activity helps you predict the supply part.
Hmm.
Based on that, you can create your marketing plan. So
Okay.
that's one aspect. So that's the digitization. But the technology part itself is again it's vast. So the infrastructure itself. So there are now startups coming with better, I will say, uh, even AI-driven small tractors,
Okay.
uh, a lot of soil test sensors, soil sensors, moisture sensors, weather stations across the board. Uh, Now, the other aspect is the supply chains, right? So, how close do you have your nearest collection center, or what kind of aggregation is happening? So, last June, we went to Srikakulam area. So, we were
Okay.
trying to map in DigiGrain, the company that I'm running now. We went there to understand how the aggregation is happening. Right? So there are these village level aggregators who are just information carriers. They just go and talk to farmers, find out, okay, how much produce you are going to bring in. Then you have aggregators at 3 trucks level or 5 trucks level. Then you have an aggregator at 30 trucks level. Then you have the wholesaler.
Hmm.
Then there is an industry. So there is a path to it. Now, using of digital solutions in these spaces is definitely improving the cycle.
Okay.
So once we are in the post-harvest value chains today,
Hmm.
in Samunati, I was in the finance space. In between, I was in Nagarjuna Fertilizers, Fertis, where I was doing the input. That was brief, but now I am completely in the output space. So these are the three key areas in agri sector. Okay. So now trying to map the value chains in the post harvest, because the moment this produce comes out, the quicker you send it out, sell it out, the better off you are, because of the climate risk and all this storage risk and all that. So if you are mapping these chains now, you are really taking them and really creating those more of firm channels, right? You always know, okay, this time I'm ready, and the moment my produce is out, it's going out, and
Hmm.
I'm getting paid.
Hmm.
So another big problem in this agri sector is not credit,
Hmm.
it's
Correct.
cash. It's
Correct.
cash.
Correct.
The moment I have my produce, am I getting my money? Okay, people think it's always the credit. Credit is the problem, but cash is also bigger problem. So what kind of contracts you have, what kind of selling? So this is an end-to-end infrastructure that you have to develop. In the input space, you need all these weather stations, your soil moisture, IoT-based sensors and all that, satellite-based analytics of the soil, analytics of the activity and all that. So that's the infrastructure there. In the fintech space, you have ability to do the customer due diligence of the farmer, the farming activity and all. In the output space, you need these channels digitized so that you have continuous and very quick uh, sale of your produce. So all areas you have something or the other where the infrastructure is done.
Okay, it is developing. So when you were talking about IoT, these days, like, there is a word of smart farming. So IoT and smart farming are gaining traction, I feel. So how can these technologies link with digital payments or the insurance models to create a complete agri finance ecosystem? Or
IoT
is
is a
it even possible also? I just want to, like, to understand.
IoT again is a beautiful technology like blockchain. The challenge lies in operations. Each device has its own maintenance, each
Yes.
device has its own so there is power involved, there is connectivity involved, right? And there is distribution maintenance involved. Now for agri, is it really taking the feasibility, financial feasibility as yet? uh, to some extent, yes. But in broad scale IoT deployment of projects, I don't think not yet. Because even buying implements is a very big challenge for these farmers, right? So now saying I'm putting some. So all these commercial projects in hydroponics, aquaponics, there it is definitely helping. Now you talk of aquaculture, yes, because there is continuous monitoring of even one fish goes
Hmm.
starts floating, it's a big challenge for them.
Yes.
Entire 10, 15 lakhs is at stake there. So using the visual AI, using IoT, there is helping.
Okay.
So the question is, it might sound really very transformational. It might sound very impactful. But again, the distribution is the challenge, right? So
Hmm.
and the other thing I'm coming to now really understand is Edge AI is going to make a lot of difference.
Okay.
Okay, Edge AI is again with the use of IoT, with the use of edge computing, edge IoT, edge AI. we are going to draw hordes and hordes of data now.
Hmm.
With the limited distribution, even with that kind of limited distribution, the amount of data that is going to come in is going to change the way how we do agriculture. So I am both uh, a very pragmatist at the level of distribution, at the same time a very optimist in the sense of how these things can change. So I think maybe in the coming 5 to 6 years, things are going to change quite a bit. Again, mechanization hasn't picked up yet so much in India as yet.
Okay.
So mechanization is one technology that we have to really adopt.
Yeah, my next question was that only. Like, from a CTO's lens, what do you feel that what is the need into the distribution channel or in the on the technology front where you can architect different platforms or shape up the future of agri-tech into finance?
So, I mean, for me, agriculture is a great science. Okay. And technology is a very big problem solver.
Hmm.
Okay. So, bringing these two together is very important. So, can you just repeat that question once?
Sure, definitely. So, like, from like being a CTO, like, I just want to understand what do you see in the coming years? How can you merge technology into the agri-tech space? And how can it help, the financial viability to the farmers for the infrastructure? It can be at all levels. When you were talking that there are certain problems into the distribution channel in from the technology side, so how can we solve it, or what are the solutions?
All of that is happening. I mean, in complete breadth, mechanization, IoT, blockchain, digital transformation, uh, which are every agri-tech company is really working very hard to get.
Okay.
The challenge is agri sector in India again is vast.
Hmm.
The reach is going to take a bit of time. The investors have to be patient.
Hmm. Correct.
So I equate agri-tech to deep tech in terms of investment. It needs patient capital
Hmm.
to the extent that these investors should not look for exits at least somewhere between 8 to 11 years, unlike other sectors where they look for
Hmm.
exits between 5 to 7 years.
Correct.
Because it's going to take time and it's rural, right? You are trying to commercialize the activity in a space where profits have been always a challenge.
Hmm.
And you are dealing with small holdings here. With a holding of 2 to 4 acres, what kind of financially feasible activity can a smallholder with no capital at all can achieve,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So you have to collectivize them, you have to apply technology, and you need a lot of capital for longer periods, right? You have to be ready for failures in the 7 years, let us say 7 to 8 years, let us say there are 2 cycles each, so 15 cycles. You have to be ready for those 3 to 5 failures at the beginning and then look for the blockbusters afterwards. So the investment community should understand in the agri-tech space, they should have the similar patience to how they have in the deep tech space. That is when you will start getting better results.
Okay. And when we are talking about the investors, like how do you see the collaborations between banks, startups, the government bodies? Because a lot of people are involved in finances there. So, like, what is the collaboration you see in the next 3 to 5 years? Like, how is it shaping up? And, how are people opening up? Because initially you said, that it is all about mindset. So, how is that happening?
So there was a lot of excitement initially between 2015 and 2020. A lot of money came in. into the
Yes.
then they started realizing, oh well, this is all volumes game. This gross transaction value is not the revenue. Revenue is different. You know what? The way we are evaluating these companies is very uh, inflated. So then came the winter,
Hmm.
right? Where investment winter. So lot of lot of declining investment in IT space. And then thankfully, Indian government is very forthcoming. Thankfully, the private sector, the startup ecosystem is responding well. Investors are still around. It's not that they have left
Hmm.
the space. I would say that so being at Samunnati, it helped me see how this interaction between the banks, between the government, and between the startups is happening. So I am very optimistic about this entire coming together of these entities.
Hmm.
Um, Thankfully, in spite of the winter, in spite of everything, they are all still around. They are still very watchful. They have had their learnings, but then now they are using those learnings to improve the way they do business together. So the collaborations are still happening. So even in DigiGrain, we are working with a lot of banks, and we are working with government entities, procurement entities. So I think it's still there, and it's going to make a very good difference there.
Okay. Okay. And sustainability is a thing which has been talked about from quite some time. So how, how can or how is fintech innovation supporting the green thing, the green financing, the carbon credit tracking, or the climate resilience? There is farming, climate resilience farming. So how is fintech innovation helping that or supporting that?
It's a huge industry in the making. Carbon credits.
Hmm.
Earlier, see, everything is driven by demand.
Hmm.
And there is a lot of clamor and demand for sustainability today. Earlier, it was not. It was not a commodity that would sell.
Hmm.
But today, it is. So, corporations, entities are being expected to be sustainable, to really spend on ESG, spend on CSR, right?
Yes.
So, carbon credit system is a huge industry in the making. Already there, thanks to the satellite-based monitoring, drone-based monitoring, on the field IoT-based monitoring, a lot of data is flowing in.
Hmm.
And farmers are learning that adopting certain strategies is making them money, creating alternative revenue channels beyond just selling produce.
Hmm.
So they now understand even the activity is going to pay them, not just the results. If they are adopting carbon sequestration strategies, if they are going to adopt certain sustainable practices and make the choices of produce like millets, so they are learning and big money is coming in. The green carbon credits that are
Hmm.
coming in, they are huge. So, and the word of mouth is spreading, right? That spreads much faster than technology.
Absolutely.
So I would say yes, it's all coming together and it's coming for the good.
Okay. One last question is on more on a personal note, or what do you think? What motivates you to explore the convergence of technology and agriculture? Because you have such a vast experience. And how do you see shaping it, the lives of the people who are at grassroots?
So impact has been always a very big driver for me. So if you look at my background, I served in the Indian Air Force. Then I went to the US, worked in the tech industry. Then I came back to India to be in the agri space because I understood that this is one area where technology can impact the most. So I'm a very strong believer of tech for good, technology as a force for good.
Hmm.
So with that theme, I try to understand this space. I try to understand how technology can solve problems in this space. I still think a lot has to be done. Uh, One of the biggest things that needs to be done is how one can reduce the losses when there are unseasonal rains.
Hmm. Yes.
Okay, click a button and your entire stock is saved. I don't know how that can happen, right? So these kind of things, very crazy ideas have to come together and have to really bring. And it's not a just one produce, right? Every produce is different. Cotton is different, tobacco is different, paddy is different, wheat is different. So I don't know, a lot of problem solving has to happen in these areas. So I personally think there is a lot of work to be done.
Okay, we'll move on to the next segment, Pravinji. That's the rapid fire round. I'll ask you a few questions and you'll have to be quick in answering. It's either one word or max one sentence.
Sure.
Okay. First is one word that best describes the future of agri fintech.
I'll say 2030.
Okay. Blockchain, AI, or IoT. Which tech will disrupt rural finance first?
AI.
Okay. If you had to explain digital farming to a 10-year-old, what would you say?
I'll ask them to watch for hydroponics, aquaponics, and more in dairy and fisheries.
Okay. What's the most underrated technology in agriculture today?
Communication.
Okay. A startup in agri-tech or fintech that you think everyone should watch?
Very tough question. I'll say uh, because it's vast. I'll obviously tell my company name, DigiGreen, but any company that's solving for the communications with
Hmm.
the farmers, I'll
Hmm.
say that.
Okay.
So we were doing something in Samunati called robocalling.
Okay.
So the FPO CEO would call the FPO members and tell them, okay, certain fertilizer is available now, or certain we have started the procurement of certain commodities, right? So that way they were collecting data. They were collecting data on the demand as well as the supply. So any
Okay.
company that's solving for the communications
Hmm.
is first.
Okay.
So, so that's
Correct. Last, complete the sentence. When fintech meets agri-tech, the biggest winner is
the entire ecosystem.
perfect.
People would expect me to say the farmer, but for that, that's the guy who is going to benefit the last, I would say. So how we flip that is the question. So yes, that's what it is.
Okay. I'll ask you one question and you'll have to answer it into 30 seconds. What is the
Sure,
role
please.
of AI in agri-tech and how is it empowering rural economies?
So AI is again a fantastic existential technology that is coming in. I used to be a skeptic because of the job loss and all, but now the more I explore, I'm coming to an understanding that there is a lot of hope, lot of optimism in terms of what it can solve for. So in agriculture, the use cases that AI would be solving, the very first one is the language.
Hmm.
So in multilingual, modal approach, being text, be it voice, be it video, AI is going to make our reach with farmers much more easier, the agri ecosystem much more easier. So it's definitely going to help. Even the channels wise, Facebook and YouTube are the biggest channels that the farmers use today. So AI is going to create a lot of content for them. So that's one thing. Of course, I mentioned satellite-based imagery,
Yes.
triangulation of data between the on-field IoT, drone-based surveying, and the satellite-based observations. Those three together are going to give real insights into the utilization of credit, utilization of different programs, schemes. So I think that's a second area. And of course, the third area is the edge-based AI. Edge AI is going to give a lot of data, even it's coming from a few applications of IoT and edge AI. The data that is going to come in is going to solve for very large problems.
Perfect. Thank you, Pravinji, for your time and for amazing discussion today for the session.
I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much, Ami, for having me.
Absolutely. So, everyone, let's stay connected as we continue to explore and understand the evolving world of financial technology. And comment below and let's keep the conversation going. That was Praveen bringing his amazing experience and perspective to Fintech CTO Talks. We will meet in the next week, in the next episode. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep exploring.